Investment professionals often talk about alpha. In simple terms, alpha is a measure of outperformance compared to the market. The evidence shows that fund managers around the world are finding it increasingly hard to generate alpha, especially when you take into consideration their fees and charges. The phenomenon is explored in a book by Larry Swedroe and Andrew Birkin called The Incredible Shrinking Alpha. In it, the author suggests there are four main reasons why it's becoming more and more difficult for fund managers to outperform.
One is the conversion of alpha to beta. So explaining the outperformance because of factors that people are investing in, which can be achieved without all the hoopla, often at a very much lower cost. Another is that kind of the pool of victims is shrinking. A lot of money used to be held by kind of mom and pop retail investors. That's come way down. Third thing is that the competition has become tougher. You get a lot of very smart people with access to a lot of data, a lot of mathematical and statistical tools, a lot of computing power. And the tougher the competition, the harder it is to outperform. And then the last thing is that with all this competition, you've got a lot more money chasing what is perhaps a very limited and fixed set of investment opportunities.
So it's not that fund managers are becoming less skillful. On the contrary, absolute skill in asset management arguably has never been higher. But relative skill has decreased. In other words, the gap between the top performers and the worst performers has narrowed. Something very similar has happened in the sporting world. Take baseball, for example.
In baseball, batting .400, that is, when you go up to bat, getting on base over 40% of the time is like an incredible feat, and only a very small number of people have done it. But nobody has done it for well over half a century. I forget the exact number. And one way that people may think about this is, well, baseball players just aren't as good as they used to be, perhaps. But all the kind of intuitive evidence would argue otherwise. You've got, in the old days, people in the off season, they had to work jobs. Nowadays, they can train year round. They've got access to much better training techniques, etc. And so the upshot of all that is, with the increase in general skill level, it makes it that much harder for anyone to outperform because your pitchers are getting better, the defenses are getting better, and that's why it makes it so much harder for people to outperform.
There is, in short, a finite amount of alpha, and it's now very difficult to find. And remember, trying to find it can cost time and potentially large sums of money. It really is best for ordinary investors to abandon the search for alpha altogether.